Wow. People love Mike. Michael Jordan has been a staple in the game of basketball well after his years of playing. When Michael Jordan left this game, which was about, I don't know, probably about what, 15 years ago, he knew he was done. It was just in him to finish the way he wanted to finish. And you can commend a guy who knows when it's time to leave. They've exhausted everything in their resources on the field and off the field. You could commend that. Now, people see on the court all the success, all the spectacular plays, but what they don't really see is the commitment and the hard work it goes into the practices that makes the game more that we see on TV spectacular. Now, the things that when there's no cameras or no footage of certain things in the practices, then we start to see something else. A determination. Like, this is where the winning is done. This is where all the work is put in at to make sure that the game comes out the way it's supposed to. So when Michael Jordan, as big as he is, as far as the sport, of course, he could train on his own. You see people like LeBron, I'm going to practice at home by myself. But that doesn't help your team get better. You practicing at home is good for you, but that's not helping your team get better. D Wade used to do this too. And it's like, you're not helping them. So if you're going to improve your team, you have to incorporate working and training together and practicing together. So as big as Michael Jordan was on a basketball court per se, he was never big enough to the point where he wasn't going to practice with the rest of the team. That wasn't the case. Michael was going to be there. Now, Michael Jordan don't like to be embarrassed. Okay? That's not the case. He does not like to be embarrassed. Cannot take it. So, for the first time in Michael Jordan's playing career, he basically was embarrassed. And that was by the Orlando Magic in the second round of the playoffs. And for the first time in his career, the Bulls lost with Michael Jordan on the team in a playoff round. When he just came back from those 16 games and basically tried to shortcut his way to a championship. And that wasn't going to work. One, they were missing a lot of pieces that they needed to get that far. Plus, Michael wasn't ready. And even a not ready Michael Jordan was able to do some things that other people wouldn't think he could do. But he was human now. He wasn't looked at as Superman anymore. It was like, oh, we could beat Mike now. Other teams felt like this is their time. Sorry, got an air. Ooh, eyelash in my ear. So Mike came back with a vengeance. I mean, a straight vengeance. He went into training. He came out relentless. And when they came out in that season, it was just something brutal. It was brutal. You wouldn't want to be on the odd. You wouldn't want to be on the opposite side of the track of that Michael Jordan team that won 70 something games. Now, the 96-97 season, it's like, okay, Mike has proven himself again. He's won the championship. They had the best record in the NBA history. There's nothing more Michael Jordan could ever want to do, right? Wrong. Michael Jordan wanted to win it again. And he wanted the players that can get him there. Now, naturally, this was going to be a problem because things started to change. As the season went on, Dickie Simpkins wasn't working out. Dickie Simpkins was a nice guy. I mean, but he just wasn't working out. Michael was running like a boot camp in training. I mean, in practice. He was on everybody, pushing them to the limit. And he dogged anybody out. And this year they had put in, they got Robert Parrish, the chief. Chief came over, and he was in his like last years, and they got the chief on his team, on their team, put him on the team with the Bulls. A lot of people don't know that the chief played with the Bulls. I was like, yeah, they had the chief, Robert Parrish. So all of these things were going a way that they thought towards a championship. Then comes the fact that Dickie Simpkins and Michael Jordan gets into a yelling match. And during this yelling match, when Dickie Simpkins is, man, I'm tired of him riding me and pushing me, and so he's all mad. Next thing you know, they was like, well, you do not have to be here, Dickie Simpkins. He just wasn't working out. So they traded him to the Golden State Warriors for Scott Burrell. Why, oh, why did I eat cappuccino? The Chicago Bulls win their second championship with Dickie Simpkins, I think, on the team at that time. Then, oh buddy, it was the final year, and the Bulls in that third championship where it all went left. Michael Jordan had cussed out basically 50% of this team. Everybody couldn't stand him, basically, because he had become so arrogant and determined that his main guy, Scottie Pippen, didn't even really like him. He's like, well, he's just used to dealing with it because it's Michael Jordan. I mean, he has done some things in practice that you guys wouldn't even believe. But here in Chicago, we hear it all. I mean, we've heard it all. There's nothing we missed out on. So when people thought the Bulls were most beatable, was in the year they won their third championship. Michael wanted another three-peat. Everybody was saying this was the final season. So that made Mike even more difficult to deal with. He was not going to let up. People had to go. So halfway through the season, they traded Dickie Simpkins for Scott Burrell from UConn. And he had been playing with the Charlotte Hornets. He had got most improved player. He was in the three-point shootout. He finished like third one year. He was over there with Dale Ellis and those guys who were shooters. And he had gotten hurt. And when he had came back, um, they were like, well, I don't think we're going to keep Dickie. I don't think we're going to keep him. So let's try to, work out a deal while he was over there in Golden State. So they make the trade. They get Dickie Simpkins out of there. Because Jordan was like, look, we need some scoring to come out, off the bench. And this is a guy who normally shoots about almost close to 50%, shoot about 40% from the field. Put some extra points on the board so it wouldn't, rely on Michael. Now, soon as Scott gets there, they play him, put him in the game. He's terrible. He's next to terrible. And the reason why, and Michael Jordan is dogging him. Straight dogging him. And was like, you can't even guard Judd Bushler. I guarantee you, Judd, I'll shoot you right now. How are you even in the league still? How you lose your shot? You need to stay in this gym till you hit 1,000 shots. I'm not joking. So he crushed Scott Burrell's confidence so much. Scott Burrell had the question, and Scott's a very good guy, ladies and gentlemen. This is a good man. Like, he's a very good person. Like, you probably won't ever hear a swear word out of Scott. Scott would always try to talk back, but he just don't know how to smack talk with Mike and not used to it. He just tried to defend himself, and it's just like it's like a lamb trying to fight back with a wolf. It's like how bad this is gonna end up. You're not gonna win the argument, and you're not gonna win on the court. And what Mike is trying to teach him is like, look, you think I'm rough? What's gonna happen in the playoffs? We gonna get you on the court in the playoffs, and I'm gonna need somebody to hit that big shot. I'm gonna need somebody I can trust to be in the war with us out there. It's a fever pitch being in the playoff. And you got to be able to shine in the right moments they put you an opportunity to. And he was like, I think we should play Rusty. Get Rusty on here. Rusty LaRue. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Jordan won a championship with a guy named Rusty LaRue. I could not make that up. Rusty LaRue was only put on the team, and he was from North Carolina. So he was their young bull that they had out there, Rusty LaRue. So they grabbed Rusty and put Rusty on the team. So once that became the norm, like Mike would always have like one North Carolina guy out there, but Rusty LaRue is who they picked up. One guy that's how Mike knew Jason Caffey got all his minutes. Because if you look at all the other players out there, their minutes was cut. And Caffey was getting more of the minutes because they were like, look, this guy is playing hard. And he was like, yeah, we got to keep him. We got to keep Jason. Because Jason talked back to Mike, man, F you. When he went up in there, he went in strong. So Mike was like liking it. He kept pushing him. Caffey was from Bama, so he he was always tough. But Scott, man, he could not function. Scott Burrell could not function being around Michael Jordan. He was only in there for a short period of time. They picked him up in the trade deadline, and he could not sustain. Playing for the Bulls ruined him. It ruined his entire everything. He's like, I don't know why he keeps. It's like he picks me, and it's like, Scott, get over it. Nobody gives a damn. Like nobody cares. It's like you get on everybody, but no, it seems like it's just me. Every game, it's like he's not listening. I had this thing, this tweak in my shoulder, and you saw that shot I shot Tuesday night. You saw I just rimmed out. It was like, Scott, we don't care about the games that's gone. We care about the games that's coming up. Okay, Scott? No one cares. So when you're looking at the total breakdown of their accomplishments, he just that 1 year, half a season or whatever he did in Chicago or whatever that was, he just was never the same when he was in Chicago. He was done. His confidence was destroyed. And Mike was like, man, you ain't been it since Charlotte. Oh man. Scott, what's going on, man? You forgot how to play basketball? See, people don't realize, man, Scott Burrell, who was a very nice guy, I think he's a head coach somewhere in college. Um, Very nice guy, very nice human being. He got the championship with Jordan for his troubles of putting up with Michael Jordan. And now his job was just to be a role guy. That's it. Don't turn over the ball. You ain't got to do too much. It ain't that hard. But he kind of let that mentally just crack him. Out of anybody that took to the abuse, he was the one that let it mentally affect him. That's one player we know for sure was totally affected by Michael Jordan in there. And that's kind of what you want. That's the results of doing that. When you ride a guy that hard, you riding a guy that hard because you know in your mind that I need to know this guy is ready for what's getting ready to come next. And if he's not ready for what's able to come next, then why the hell is he on the team? Because I can't. I need soldiers. I don't need guys that's marking the time. So a lot of people who play basketball never recover from certain injuries. It's not a video game. We've seen it happen to some of the all-star players. Once they get injured, they never return back to a former glory. So, something to think about. But anyway, I'm out. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll talk more today. We might do a stream lab or something. You know, I think about it. See how I feel about doing it. All right, I'm out. Don't forget. Oh yeah, I always forget to tell y'all. You can go to the Cash App and donate to the page. Carcino's the name on the Cash App. Carceno. And you can join me on my Patreon as well as Carcino for Life. I'm out.